is the board appointment. It said board member here?
He was, yeah, he was wrong.
It's Dollars.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. All right, Jamie Davis. Hey, Mr. Davis, how are you? We're on the first item, which is the board appointment. Did you have anything that you wanted to say before we, about this particular board?
Yeah, do I have to come to?
Yeah.
I guess I do. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I have a letter here that says, appointment to the Communications and Public Relations Committee. Dear Mr. Davis, thank you for submitting an application to serve on the Communications Public Relations Committee. The Legislative Committee will review your application on Wednesday, June 5th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. in the Little League Commission Chambers located at 200 East Wall Street in our Mission 492. Your presence at the meeting, or this meeting, is required as a part of the process. My question would be, is that supposed to be on this paper?
It's what's supposed to be on the paper.
This is, it says, I mean this paper right here, this, that you'll be reviewing me, is that supposed to be on this?
It's just a formality that we go through almost if people can't make it, we understand that.
Oh.
But most people just try to come, and if they have any comments or anything, if the board has any questions of people applying for board appointments, that's mainly the reason why.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it
that's it.
doesn't-
It's not a review of you or anything like that. It's just a question and answer. If you wanted to ask us any questions, because I think Juanita Henry chairs that particular committee. I think Mr. Singleton is also on that.
No, I'm not.
Not the communications anymore?
No.
Yeah. But that's usually what the formality is.
So y'all gonna call me up, you wanna discuss it, or?
No, I was just, if you had any statements or anything you'd like to make in regards to being on this particular board. You guys have any questions for us?
It's on the board appointments, that's
Yeah, under board appointments. Yeah. You were appointed to the communications board, and we were voting to send this to the full body. That's what
I
we were
was
just.
appointed. Is that what I'm saying?
So no, you were put on, you applied.
Right.
And so this board, the legislative board, will vote to send this to the larger board to actually vote on your board appointment. So
Oh,
it'll
so
be
I
at the
don't
next agenda.
I don't have to be sitting here then, right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought so because.
Oh,
you asked me
no.
first, I didn't know.
I was asking, because we were gonna forward your appointment on, but we wanted to find out if you had any questions or anything you wanted to say before we did so.
Well, I guess I can tell you a little bit about, why I think I should be on this committee.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Of course, I graduated from Benton High School in 1989. I took Miss Wiggins' class, a speech class, in 87, 88, and during Black History Month, she asked if anybody wanted to be a part of the program. I decided I'd be a part of the program. And from that, I wrote a little speech of my own, and I presented it to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade classes. It was well received. And then Miss Garrett was a teacher at the time. Miss Garrett was a member of the same church I was baptized in under Reverend Childs, Beautiful Gates Baptist Church under Reverend C.M. Jones Sr. And she was so impressed with what she heard at the school, she told the pastor. So then the next thing you know, I had to end up preaching a sermon at 17 years old for the first time. And then when I went to the military, I graduated. The guys in the military was calling me the preacher for some reason. And later on, I became a preacher when I got out of the military, 3 years later. And then when I became a bishop at 25. And then I got a TV show. So I woke up one day and I said, I wonder how difficult it would be to go down and do a television show. I wanted to talk about what I thought I knew. So I wanted to inform the people, my people, of who I thought we were in the so-called Bible, and that's what started my TV show, Bishop Walker in the End, the first show I had in '96. And I went from there. I was running 2 shows at one time because I moved to Chicago in '05, and I started the public access show in Chicago. So I took the radio and television without thinking that I was taught at Benton High School, put in a good years, and I had the most revolutionary truth to power type of television show that that was going on at the time, under Obama's presidency, under Rahm Emanuel. I've seen some of the things he's done, you know, and I kind of spoke against those type of things, you know, on television. So I've been speaking truth to power for a while, and I got the energy, information, and spirit from the city. So I want to put it to use here and possibly help with some public relations committee, do all I can do to show the little things that I learned. And when I went to school, I didn't even like the way I sounded or looked on anything that we recorded. I had no idea I would actually live a life where I got a chance to be an independent, underground type of interviewer. So that's what I think I can bring to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Does the committee have any questions that they'd like to ask Mr. Davis?
I got one question. Yeah, Mr. Davis, sound like you got a lot of experience in communication. You know, Commissioner Henry, the board chair, you know, we're trying to push communication to the residents. I'm sure you can be a big part of that now. You know the time of the meetings? Do you know the time of when the committee meets?
This committee? Yeah, on the fourth, Monday.
Mr. Duncan, I'm sorry, did you have a question you wanted to ask Mr. Does any audience member want to ask Mr. Davis any questions?
More of a statement than a question.
Okay.
He's into communication and seems like he has a know-how about how he could actually help, maybe if he wanted to, assist in our camera and all of that, for getting it set or getting our setup. We have a setup coming in. I think for cameras and video and all of that. So it sounds like he has some of those credentials for helping get it off the ground a little faster than what we're doing. So just thought. Thanks.
Thank you.
One more thing if I add. Thank you. I might say thank you. If I might add one more thing I forgot to say. My television show was so intriguing to the powers that be that ABC News came to interview me. And CAN TV had been in existence for 32 years, and that had never happened before. So one of your Benton Harbor residents made history in Chicago on public access from Benton Harbor High School. I took it. And an interesting thing is when I went back to the high school, I've been trying to find the video that I did when I was 16 years old 2 years ago. Nobody got it. When I went back, I talked to Mr. Holt, the one that's in charge at the school now. I forget his name. Yes, I talked with him. And it just so happens that this is a pretty small world, because he told me that when he left here, he went to Chicago and ended up hiring the person as my director for all the years that I did, TV shows. So, I mean, he hired a very good person. And I think that I could come here and add some more to this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Do you want to move this item forward to the full body?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is the reinstatement of the Water Review Advisory Committee. Discussion. Lisa, did Dan send any, did he give you anything? Did he give you anything for this meeting?
Only thing he gave me was the code compliance appeal process.
Right. Okay, did he make enough copies for everybody to have them? Because that's what I was under the impression that he was having that on doing.
No, he emailed it to Kim, actually you, Darwin, and Commissioner Isom, and that was it. But that was at 11 this morning. I just have a digital copy.
Go ahead, Commissioner Sunderland, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This came about through several inquiries by some citizens who basically have had problems, with the pavement center, getting their bills and things like that. Actually, the last item too, the leak policy, kind of go along with that, but at one time, the city did put together a water review board. I forgot who the people was that was on it, but somewhere along the line, it kind of went defunct. But there is, several concerns and probably several complaints, that probably could be addressed. Right now it's basically, you go to the window and, whoever's there, you talk to it, or talk to somebody, or the person who's making the decision on the complaint or concern, a lot of times is the person who, may be involved in the complaint or concern. So I think at one time they did have, the water review board, and a person could come there and make their appeal, voice their concerns, and then that board would somehow try to, get to some type of resolution. So I think that would be something that would cut down a whole lot of confusion and concerns, and like I said, where the people feel that they do have, some type of outlet to go voice their concerns. So I think, it would be a good thing to put that back in place, and, sometimes it could just be resolved right there, and, as long as they feel that somebody else heard them, then the person who working in the department that they had a complaint with, so.
So I have a question. So the people, or the person that expressed some concern about this particular issue, did they fill out any paperwork? Because there's a process, but was there a form that is to be filled out for this? Do you know, Clark?
I know that there was a complaint form that was created, I think, late last year for everything outside of public safety. So there's one complaint process for public safety stuff, like if you have a problem with an officer, there's a citizen complaint process. And I believe there's one on this side of the building too.
There is one?
You have to come up and get the form from Lisa Galladay, and you fill it out, and then it goes through.
Okay, now, once you do that, where do that go to?
It starts with Lisa Galladay because she's human resources still.
So if somebody came down to the water department and they had a complaint, so the people at the booth would send them upstairs to fill out a form? Or would they just, like you said, the person is complaining is that the process?
I believe they have forms down there as well.
Okay.
That they fill them out, but I don't know who they submitted to from them.
Yeah, well, it seems.
So it's getting lost, and that's where it's getting lost at. So people are complaining and are they being followed up with?
Once they turn them in, I don't know where they go. I'm not sure.
And I believe this board was made up of also some citizens too. So, because the problem is that, okay, you fill out the form, that's all well and good, but it seemed to be that the same, people, from the department is the ones getting the forms and deciding, whether this is a valid complaint or not, and offering some type of resolution or not, so it should be like a separate, board made up of citizens,
So when I spoke to the chief today about this particular issue, he was saying that there is a process.
please.
When I spoke to the chief today about this particular item, he was saying that there was a process, and he was asking why nobody talked to him. And there was a discussion, I guess, at the last meeting that we had. but,
I didn't know the chief dealt with the water.
so he sent out, so in this particular thing that he sent out, right.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there any reason why public safety is involved with the complaint
Water.
system?
We're not involved in the water complaints per se, but we've been pushing for a customer service advocate in the building that is the clearinghouse for all these complaints.
So how long has that been? I don't want to put you on the spot, but how long have you guys been asking for this? Because you obviously know that we need this.
I know we started the process because I thought we were putting something on the website, but you got me on the spot, so I don't really know. I didn't get a chance to look
I
at it.
understand, Clark, I understand.
But I know we've talked about it, and we just kind of got it on our end a little bit, just because we've already got an established process for if you come in and make a complaint about an officer. There's an established process that it runs through, and we track those and all that. So I know we were working on it, but we're trying to, it's staying on this side of the building. All the employees that are on this side that it would work through, because you've got a union down there, CBA, that you have to work with too. Asked me, so I don't know. So I'd have to get with, I'd have to see. We have a meeting in the morning. I know that we can go from there.
Because I agree, we need a process. We need.
And we need,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it would also need to be an independent, board. That's why I say it's like more like a citizen board that would, where they don't have, would say a dog in the fight, that they would, it would be partial, non-partial, or partial, where they can look at it and, make a rational decision, like you say, if it's a union person looking at the complaint about another union person, you kind of know how, it might turn out. So, I think they had, this group was made up of some citizens, and it might have had a staff person on the board or something, but it was mostly made up of citizens. So basically, you're getting, as they would say, judged by your peers.
And even just looking at the form, I was listening to you, but I was looking at the complaint form, and it was just like, okay. So is there a certain time frame that people are responded to that file a complaint? You said it's left on this side, so the city manager, so people fill it out, it goes back to Ms. Galladay, and then she gives it to the city manager, and is there a time lapse? And I hate to put you on the spot because you may not know.
Yeah, I don't, as far as over here, I don't know what their process is. I know as far as over in the police department, but over here, I just know they can get the form from downstairs.
Yes.
Oh, I would like to have something to say,
Yes, I want you to. That's why I'm calling you up here.
but Ms. Henry's.
Okay,
No, go ahead.
I'm asking, I'm not ignoring Commissioner Henry, but I knew you were sitting in the audience, and I know you'll tell some
Yeah, you
truth
ain't
about. I ain't ignoring you. I
I
love you,
let
Commissioner
Mike
Henry.
have because he got more expertise on this subject.
And that's why I was asking. That's why I was asking him, because I know you work service in another
I'm just
department.
messing with you.
I know, okay.
Mike O'Malley, the water superintendent in Benton Harbor. When I was here in Benton Harbor last, you might recall me, 2008 until 2012, I sat in on many of the water review board's meetings, and the makeup was similar to what he was talking about. It was held at the payment center in the conference room. Sylvia Robinson, the head of the payment center, was your staff person. I came to help interject with any kind of issues. But when Sylvia Robinson was thrown out by the city financial manager, it never came back up again. So I think it's a great idea. I thought the idea of a water quality board would be a great idea as well, could maybe perhaps combine the two. But most people don't want to talk about water quality, they want to talk about their bills. And I don't know much about what that form is. I've been here now since July 2016. I've never heard or seen one of those things. So I don't know. Of course, the turnover down in the payment center, where the finance person just keeps coming and going, that's probably not helping matters any either, so in terms of responsibility.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah.
Mr. Henry?
Thank you, Commentary. If there was a board, then there's got to be some policies already set up. And it might be a little tweaking, because when I get a complaint from a citizen and they say, well, what do? I tell them to come down and get a complaint form, ask them to date stamp it, and give you a copy of it. So if it does disappear, you'll have a copy and the date that you brought it in. Because sometimes they do disappear. So they do go to the city manager, and as everyone knows that the city manager has a lot to do. So this would eliminate some of his responsibility. If I'm a citizen and I come in here and I wait 2-3 weeks and I still haven't heard it from anybody, I'm pretty pissed off. And I'm definitely gonna come to this spot right here and say, I didn't get my thing addressed. I need to be addressed, and that causes the commissioners to look at the city manager. So I think that'll solve a lot of his problems and ours too.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So if we get the policies that are already set up, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We might have to tweak it a little bit, but and anytime that you allow citizens to do something in their community, to have authority as well as responsibility, you'll find that it will be better off. So if we can do this, this is great.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the board that have any comments in regards to this item?
Yes, just want some clarity on this review board. Now, this review advisory board is for, like, as people get their water cut off, or they got to complain about their bills and can't pay it. So who's, first of all, who has the authority to cut the water off? Who makes that decision? Does anybody know?
Staff.
The staff, so.
So they say if the bill gets so high, they say cut that water off.
Well, yeah, you know, back before the emergency manager come on, some people would come in and have $2,000 water bill. And when they turn their water off, they really cry because they never get caught up.
Yeah.
So the emergency manager said, no, after 30 days, we'll cut your water off. So you'll never get up to $2,000 or even $200, $300. That automatically lets them, if you're behind, that they'll cut your water off.
So now it's, with this board in place, before your water get cut off, you can say, I got a complaint that my bill is, how that work?
Yeah, you can complain about anything.
Mr. Singleton shaking his head.
So with this particular item, 'cause I know this is, and in order to get anything done with this particular committee, one of the suggestions, and I'll let you talk, and I wanted to ask Mike, was it 3 citizens, 2 citizens, and you that was on that particular board, Mr. O'Malley?
No. I wasn't on the board.
Okay.
It was Sylvia, and it was a long time ago. There was at least 1, maybe 2 officials of some kind that were maybe appointed to the board. I believe the guy that was the chair was a regular citizen. I don't think he was a commissioner or anything. And I think if the helper came, I think that was the same kind of thing. And
yeah.
Reorganizing that board might be a challenge, because you might have a hard time finding the paperwork.
No, so one of my suggestions was, I understand that there may be policies that may exist already, but at this point, it's been at least 3 years without having one. So directing the city manager to create, by resolution, sending it out. So give the city manager 30 days to create an appeals process for the water payment center that would include 3 persons and 1 over 3 citizens and 1 other person to chair that particular committee, and just giving him and outlining him a policy about what we need done, because we do not give our city manager, who operates by resolution only, a resolution to operate on. He will not act on that. So we can keep talking about it, but if we give him a resolution to create a water appeals board, then we're giving him the action that he needs to actually do that. Because we can have a discussion about it, but if we don't give him a resolution to start creating this, it won't happen.
Can I
Yeah.
just give a little clarity to Commissioner Isom's question? The board should not say who water get cut off or cut on. No, that would be
Right.
the policy set forth for, if you don't pay your bill,
Right.
But what happens if that person has a complaint as to why, or concern why they shouldn't get cut off, or why they, that they don't, if they got cut off and they say, I shouldn't have got cut off, who do they appeal to? So that's what that would be for.
And you should be able to show somebody
Right.
their water bill,
Yeah.
how much usage they have, like with Verizon. I can go on and see what the usage is when it was down, just like with any bill.
And they-
AP, Michigan Gas, you can see what the usage is. People should be able to see what they're being charged on. If they disagree with it, have a process for doing so. I agree.
Some folks just need to be, explain the process
Right.
and why, and show them, in documentation or whatever, and then they may say, okay, you're right, or if it's a case where it's not, then, but some independent board need to be able to handle those complaints.
I agree.
And so, what I was gonna say is, I guess, I'm not sure how we're getting here, because what I would expect is, if a person didn't pay their bill, prior to cutoff, there should be a process. There should be a letter sent, final notice sent, call us to make payment arrangements.
What-
I mean, that's the norm in most cities, or,
What they do, they send out the little pink slips,
Yeah, the pink
you get that, if you shut off notice, and then once you get that shut off notice, and if you don't think you should be getting it, then that's when you.
correct, that's when you
Go
step
make-
up and say what's
yeah.
going on, not after your
Right,
water is cut off,
right.
it's getting the appeal board. I mean,
Or it could be the use, the number, they might not fit, they might probably feel that the readings are wrong or something, and, instead of
And if
just.
that's another key point, I mean, if you get that passed through notice and you say this is not right, I know I'm not using significantly more water, in May than I did in April, what's going on? You pull the trigger before your water gets cut off. So I think, maybe are we missing a step prior to shut off?
Yeah, I think there's, so people could go down and complain, so they go to pay their bill, and these are people who are not getting cut off. These are people who are saying, hey, I'm paying my bill, there's a mistake on my bill, and then they're complaining about it. So they're filling out the paperwork, but what's happening in the meantime, we don't exactly know, but I think that's something we need to make sure about. Commissioner Adams?
Thank you. I'm glad that I didn't miss this. And there has been something missing for quite some time, as far as this is concerned. I run into people all the time down after paying their water bill with complaint. And somebody needs to be reviewing something and holding somebody accountable. And that includes for the nasty attitude if one is given when it comes to customer service after a person spends their money. I think that they deserve the utmost respect and politeness, and giving so too. There has been some instances where a lot of the residents are renting from the Housing Commission. And with this one, for instance, a young lady said there was a leak, or they determined that it was a leak in the toilet. She fixed the toilet leak, and there was still something internally leaking, which was underneath the foundation of the very home itself, which could not have been the resident or the renter's fault, but yet she's the one that's got the bill. And we need some type of review board to look at instances like that, to do something, to hold somebody accountable. I mean, it has nothing to do with it, but I thought that we had more control of something like our housing commission than we do, but I didn't know that they could sue us. And I think it has something to do with water, and it's just like the grass. I mean, they need to be given the same preference as we do the residents, because they're not given any. When we're fined for high grass, they need to be too.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Does anybody else have anything on this item before we move on? So I would like to recommend that we have, create a resolution, asking the city manager to review, this appeals process, because even just looking at it, it's mainly dealing with the police department and how they review things. But just a, review of that policy, and we're also asking him to create a review panel that would include, so just like we do for all the other boards, authorizing a search for people that want to sit on an appeals board for the water department. Okay. Getting that listed. So we would need a resolution for our next meeting. For him to look at.
How will we address Commissioner Adams' point about, like, how would you research that example she gave? Would it be somebody that would research stuff like that?
Yeah, but with an appeals process, so if a person came before the appeals board in the water department, so you're looking at what they're saying, so they would look at all of that information. Yeah, that's part of that process. So looking at a review panel that included at least 3 people on that panel, making sure that somebody from the water department was present, preferably Mr. O'Malley or one of somebody that would sit there and listen to the issues that people had. Thank you.
Just to touch on 2 things. When it comes to like the housing commission, we as a city can't take punitive action against like a housing commission or the county or the state for their grass. So like the DNR, yeah, the DNR boat launch that has the 6-foot grass, there's nothing we can do to the state about that. But I know some cities, and I might be stepping out my range a little bit here, but some cities have public utility commissions that cover all the services provided. So don't just make it for water, make it for water,
Utilities.
trash,
Yeah.
utilities commission.
Yes.
To cover everything.
Thank you.
So could you change that, thank you so much, could you change that to say a utilities commission? That would include probably 5 people then, 3 to 5 people.
An odd number.
Yeah, 3 to 5 people.
3 to make it 4. Well, actually,
The utility, Commissioner, if you have to speak, come up to the table.
if I may,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I think our charter speaks to that. I think it has to be 9.
Not for a board like that, it doesn't have to.
Okay,
be.
okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
And for our next, meeting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next item on our agenda. Code Enforcement Appeal Board, which would actually go kind of hand in hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I think I don't know if the same, it could be, you're right, because trash and stuff like that. But, again, and I applaud the Public Safety Department for, taking some effort to have some type of complaint forms. But I think, again, getting the resolution to the complaint, again, should be made up of some citizens, and why I say that also, it also could get it resolved where it don't even have to go to court. If I came to the board with a complaint and about code enforcement, just say grass or something, and I got, after all the evidence is presented and the questions, and I'm still found responsible, and the board would say you could either pay a fine, pay the fine here, or we can go to court. And as a person who would say, okay, I went and exhausted all my complaints and I accept the responsibility, I would rather pay the money here, going back into the community, than, going over there and get ate up by, fees at the courthouse. So I think it would be a way of kind of keeping our money here and a little less burden on the citizen if, the board by his peers, because it would be made up of some citizens, by his peers say, no, we looked at everything, you still, is in the wrong on this, and here's the fine, So I'd rather pay it here than to say go to court. But then if I fail, if I disagree with that, then the next move is to appeal to the court. And if the court finds me guilty, then I know the fine is going to be higher too. So we might be able to capture, some of them dollars from, taking the trip across the bridge.
So could you make that for utilities in general for, this one, I think this one also could actually go under that as well. You understand what I'm saying? No? Okay. Anybody else have any more questions on the code enforcement appeals board?
I can,
Go ahead.
this is
Speak to
the,
that.
yeah, so, in November of 2018, it was brought up and submitted, and, it was brought through, our committee, and it's an actual written process. Now, unfortunately, with what you were speaking to of the enforcement and, trying to keep that here, with the agreements that go all the way back to when we gave up our own courtroom, and they have the community court as well as everything over there, we can't circumvent that system. But the process is, and it's a written policy that we have, I have it digitally, unfortunately I don't have it printed, but it starts off with a written appeal. You bring it in, you sign it off, and it goes to the chief code enforcement officer first for review. And then from there, it would go to the director of public safety, and if it's still not resolved at the second level, then it goes to the city manager, and there's time frames on each of this. It has 5 business days for the first step, which is with chief code officer, which would be Ms. Jones now. Then the second level is 5 business days. That's with the director of public safety. And then the third step after that, if it's still not resolved, would go to the city manager. And then according to this policy, at the end of it all, whatever's taken by the city manager is deemed final. So, but this is performance, actions taken. If it's something that's sent over to the courts, we lose that ability to regulate certain things. And a lot of this stuff is, the first step is the notification from the code enforcement, whether it's tagging the stake in the ground or tacking something to the house or providing something by mail. So.
Good.
Go ahead.
What's differential? And I think that, well and good, but I think where we're missing that, Deputy Clark, is that we can have a process in there where, before it even get to the court, say if a person is cited for something, you've been cited for, grass too high, here's a citation you have, and then along with that citation or on the back of it is something that says, you have a right to appeal, before appeals board. If you, choose the appeal board, then you can, you're binded by, the decision. And if you don't, then it can go over to court. It's like a mediation, you could have, the board would be actually acting as a mediator. So a person would have a choice. You can say, okay, I want to bypass the mediator and go straight to court, or I want to go into mediation, which would be the board. Kinda, I don't know if you, do you see what I'm talking about?
No, I get what you're talking about. When it comes to, if you're specifically citing grass, though, the problem with grass is there's a very short window of time that grass is given.
Right.
On just because of how quick it's growing. You know, for instance, right now,
Yeah.
with the rainy days we've been having, it's moving pretty quick. This process kind of speaks to that already, but there's no citizen process to it. I think our only concern would be timeliness at this point. If you're trying to put a citizen board in this process somewhere,
No, but you can still write the citation, but,
if we're writing a citation, it's going to the courthouse.
well,
We don't have a choice on that. That's
but do you have a specific time to send it to the courthouse?
within. It has to be at the courthouse within 72 hours of it being written. That's the state law. Otherwise, it gets dismissed.
But it can be dismissed with the, if we have, if the person have a mediation before then, and if it's resolved before it get to court, then it could be dismissed. I think that would save us money on attorney fees and
Well,
everything else.
But can I ask a quick question? Is there a warning? Like, are you given, we're talking about grass consistently,
The
so.
sign being placed is the warning.
So they do have a warning?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
essentially, they're getting that warning, getting a citation, and now, do you want to appeal, which they already had a warning?
So part of this, the only thing that moves kind of quick through the process is grass. Just because the short time frames, because we want to try to catch it before it gets tremendously tall. For instance, if you get a citation for paint chips, okay, your paint is chipped, the code enforcement comes over, they're going to post a warning first, and you have X number of days to fix it. If you come into code compliance and say, listen, I have a plan to fix it, but I cannot afford to do it in this 30 days, then they'll note it in the system and they'll actually work with you to give you a time frame.
Because there have been some, even with the grass, there have been some cases where there was wrong addresses, where people got, I guess the person who was putting the sign up didn't get the address right, and, that person out of town or, don't see it, next thing you know, they gotta, that's not my lot. When I get a ticket in the mail,
And the other thing too is, if you come down to the code compliance, what we're doing, and you're probably going to start seeing it soon, you're going to see different colors marked on curbs. We're in the process of marking what is city owned, what is county owned, what is state owned. So that way, it's a lot easier for the code enforcement officers as they're driving down the road to see. So if it's a county lot, for instance, that's too long, we can call Brett right away. Hey, your lot's too long. But the process on this, though, if it goes to community court, they will always go on the side of compliance first, even if it goes into the community court. And they'll give you 6 months to however long to fix it. So
even with like I said, with the grass, I noticed also what people been saying, and what they do, they cut it. They put the thing up there. If they out of town, and it's for them 3 days. They give you 3 days to cut it or something, and they come back. They didn't cut the grass. They don't get it. Next thing they know, it's on their tax bill. Some of them not even getting a notification. And next thing they get their tax bill, and they got $200 extra on there.
Somebody handing out orders.
Yeah, so
that-
Do that.
I know we've had some confusion in the past on that, but under the way the system is set up now, after we had some past employees that kind of screwed the pooch on this, but under the current system, there's several notifications before it's going to hit your tax bill. You're going to get the first thing you're going to get is the posting, and then if you don't take care of it, you'll get the citation. And if you don't take care of that, then you're going to get some more stuff in the mail saying, hey, take care of this, take care of this, take care of this. And then it'll go to the tax bill. If it's not taken care of by the end of the year.
Still, along that process, there's no other way of appealing unless you go straight to court.
Well, once we write the citation, it goes to court. But if you come in and say, listen, this was not my address, all you gotta do is come into the code compliance, fill this out. There's a written form.
But the
This
ticket-
was not my address.
The ticket's already written.
But if it's already
With the
written,
court.
we can dismiss that.
That's what I'm saying. So, even
We
with
have the
that,
authority to dismiss.
To dismiss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can dismiss it.
so if it's a ticket, I got a ticket, and I don't believe that,
Excuse me, there's, talking in the background, we're trying to respect everybody that's here. So if you have something to say on this particular item, just come up to the front so that it's not picking up all the extra talking. That's all. Go ahead,
yeah,
Commissioner.
I don't believe that the ticket, that I should have got the ticket, but the ticket's already written. It should be a Board of Appeals or something that I could go to and explain my case. Actually, the burden of proof would be on the city anyway, but I would ask for a hearing, I come and they say, well, this is what we got on you, and then I can present my evidence, to say why I shouldn't have got it, and then if my evidence, outweighed that, then the ticket should, like I said, be dismissed.
But that system's already in place, because when you go to court, the only people who can dismiss an issued citation or to this point is the magistrate or judge, the prosecutor who has it, which would be our city attorney on these types of things, or the officer who wrote it. So even if it had this board, even if Joe Citizen got this ticket for grass too long, but they want to contest it because they say, listen, this is my lot and this is somebody else's lot, they could bring it to that board, but that board is not going to have any legal standing with the courthouse.
No, but they could get recommendation that it be dismissed because this is what we determined as a board. The court don't have to do it, but if the proof is there, then I think what we end up doing, we're paying an attorney to go over there
to get double paid after we ripped off through the chair.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going, Commissioner. It's just even the officer. If you've got the civilian board and they come in and they're like, this isn't right, that officer still has to go to the attorney to dismiss the ticket.
Right, but
You're better off just saying, following the process on the ticket. If you've gotten cited, the first step is to go over to the city attorney's office and speak to basically the city attorney's prosecutor, Mr. Rock, and say, this isn't my address. And then he just voids it. And you don't have to have an entire board of people for that.
But if it's already sent over to the court, then the attorney have to go over it.
He's going to have to anyway.
Yeah, but I guess Commissioner Single, what he's saying, there is like 3 steps before somebody actually gets a ticket, before they actually have to pay a fine. So if you get 2 warnings and then you still get an opportunity to dismiss, why would we create a board
It's not working like that.
But,
to do that? Are there citizens who had issues?
but we're just talking.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, through the chair.
with this.
Through the chair, we've had
Just a
some.
minute, Commissioner Adams,
Okay.
let him finish his
All right.
thought. I'm sorry.
So,
Commissioner Single, so she can ask her a question.
yeah, with the grass, like I said, it's the time sensitive thing, so that could be, but, with other code violations where, time and stuff, I really believe that, and I think in several communities do have, some type of board of appeals, made up of some citizens, so I just think, being a homeroom city, we could find some type of way to have something in process that would, and possibly even save some money on, legal fees and stuff, so, I don't have the exact, plan, but I think we need to do more research on it, maybe even look at, some other, communities and see what they're doing, but, to say not do it, I think, we'd be doing ourselves a disservice.
It's another way to keep us from complaining too.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Well, it's only been 40 years that we've tackled the same thing, probably twice a year sometimes. And we've had some residents that have had, a grass cutting that's cost them more than their taxes, more than their summer taxes, which is very unfair. I think what we need to start looking forward to is when there's a change that comes about, a change needs to come about, that we need to start looking at how to get our own magistrate and our court system, being a home rule city, back into the city of Benton Harbor. Everything has been outsourced. I just left a meeting at the church talking about the very same thing. And until we come together and do exactly that, we're gonna keep on getting exactly what we're getting, which is nothing. Nowhere and spinning wheels. And I'm frankly tired of it. It's action time. To start, actually, a directive was given to the city manager to get with the city attorney to actually look at exactly what we need to do. And I don't care if it was 1964, because it couldn't have been. Because I was older than that when I sat on the hill right there watching the judge sentence people. I had to be about 7 or 8, maybe 9 or 10. But, and that was just the late 60s. Yeah, just shut up. Ain't nobody actually Anyway, anyway, we as gatekeepers of this community need to start looking at ways to not disable the citizens or to make them so reliant upon us as gatekeepers that we make life just so easy for them that they don't be held accountable for anything. But this thing is so large that it's about our dollars and our resources. And I'm looking at one of them right now that's in trouble as well. We've lost too much, and we need to be trying to, how can I do that? Go to church and say, take back what the devil stole from me, and not put forth some effort in doing so.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Is there anybody on the board that has any comments about this particular item before we move forward? Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand like what I'm hearing, and I guess the piece that I'm missing, it may be because you're gonna tell me an example, but what everyone is saying and what this guy was, Clark, it sounds like there is a procedure in place. Now, are we saying that what Clark is saying is not happening? I guess, because I just came home 8 or 9 months ago, so it's possibly expensive, I don't know, but if there is 2 warnings in place, then if you get the ticket, you don't agree with it, you go talk to their team, and if he's saying that their team is gonna say, hey, this is the wrong address, they're gonna fix it. I guess I'm missing the point of what the citizens are saying is happening. Are they following the steps? Are they talking to his team? And are they still getting these $200 or $300 tickets? I guess I'm not clear on if he is saying that we have a way to solve the incorrect situations. I'm not clear.
Please have a seat. He's next. So please have a seat. We have to have order in the meeting. So Mr. Duncan.
Okay, don't scream whatever y'all do, back up.
So my question is, when I talked to the chief today, how many complaints have we actually gotten of somebody following the process?
As far as I'm aware, I think 2 in the recent months.
Two in the
This
recent
was
months.
put in place in November of last year. When we recognized there was a problem, when we had all those refunds put that we had to deal with and fix the people's taxes from the 2 previous back code enforcement person, this was what was put in place to mitigate this.
Right.
So, because remember, we had that problem from 2 building officials ago where he was just pushing everything to the tax rolls, whether it needed or not. So we knew there was a problem, and this was what was put in place in November of last year to handle this. And this is, and we've had pretty good success with this so far. So.
Mr. Duncan is next. Go ahead, sir.
Go on, sister.
Thank you.
That way I can remember what I
Through
come
the
in and
chair.
talk about.
But the young lady was absolutely right. I just ask again that you all just keep in mind, do your research, and let's try to figure out a way to keep every dollar here in the city of Benton Harbor. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner
Real
Adams.
simple.
Mr. Duncan.
Liberty and justice for all. You look out your window, you can turn around and look if you like, but that hill right there has grass this high. we get $200 tickets, warnings, and $200 tickets. Who gets those? I mean, it's sitting right out in front of the police station.
But did you appeal the ticket?
I'm not, did I appeal it?
Or did you-
I shouldn't have even gotten the ticket. They beat me to it was raining it. One day they cut the grass, the next day I was gonna cut it after the rain. They had already been out there and cut up bottles, cans, everything in 3 lots. So, I'm gonna say this one more time. Liberty and justice for everybody. If they don't get a ticket over there, why in the hell should I get one? And I'm cutting my grass. I'm gonna get out there after the rain. I'm not gonna cut the grass in the rain like they've been hired to do, regardless of what the weather is.
So I agree, I agree, but I'm saying when you got that ticket, it was unjust. I'm agreeing with you, but did you talk to his team to say, hey, it's been raining every day?
You know what I do? I'm a citizen and I'm on a fixed income. I come in here and anything I say is like a complaint, because my voice and my mannerism, everything is like a complaint, and I understand that, and I have all the reasons in the why, all the reasons in the world to be a complainer, but I'm not. I pay the bill and try to beat them before they get there, like I did this morning. They were sitting there this morning ready to cut 3 lots for me, which I do. Anybody would know me, know I'm on it. So, I'm not a complainer, sister. What I am is a concerned citizen with concerns. I don't have no complaints, because if I was complaining, I would be somebody you probably wouldn't even want to hear. Ma'am, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead,
So, to address what you just brought up, that tall grass on the hill is on the Housing Commission property. And unfortunately, we as a government entity cannot take enforcement action against a government entity.
But you can take actions against citizens, taxpayers, landowners. You can do us, but you can't do them. You gotta change the law. And let me say this too. We're a home rule city. We make our own laws and bylaws and all of that. Right. So now is just the time to just change them or what you call them, jerk them or whatever you said. Tweak them. Just tweak them, and then you won't have an irate, tax-paying senior citizen in your face talking about stuff like this.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henry. And we,
Can I just say, the process that I know working in code compliance, they go out, they post a project, give you 3 days to get the grass cut. If after 3 days it's not cut, they go back out, re-inspect, make sure it's not cut. They take pictures when they first post it to show that the grass is this high. And after the 3 days, they go back and re-inspect. If it still hasn't been cut, then they will put it on the mow list. Whoever we contract to mow, to cut the grass, they refer that list to them, they go out and cut it. Then we have an inspector go back out to make sure that they cut the grass, then we bill the resident $200 for getting the grass cut. If you don't agree with that, we have appeal forms. You come down, fill out the appeal form, go through it. That's the process. If you don't pay the $200, then yeah, it's gonna go on the taxes. Then it'll go to the next step where, whoever, city manager Watson or whatever, looks into it, and if he feels that, no, we shouldn't have charged them, then he'll contact the county and they'll take it off the taxes.
Okay, I don't think it's a problem with the process, but I do have a question. If they tag the property and the homeowner comes down and says, number one, maybe they get their check 2 weeks from now, can I get an extension on the 3 days? Or number two, it's raining and
We've had
weather.
people do
Can we be vocal and
Yeah.
talk to the team and
Yeah.
say, this is the
We've done
situation,
it.
this is life,
I
I don't have any money today.
Yeah, I dealt with people personally.
So Ms. Osler actually works in the code enforcement
Yeah.
department, so she actually handles these.
And they'll say, I know the grass needs to be cut, but I won't be in town till the weekend. Okay, I'll make a note now that the inspector knows that you're gonna come this weekend, but just to let you know, after a couple days pass, they're gonna go out there and if it hasn't been cut, they're gonna,
So if somebody got their check and they can't get it cut until maybe 10 days later or whatever, because we've had a lot of rain, so I know they probably have allowed some grace periods
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
So if
No.
a person comes and they say that they can't do it until a certain time, they work something, have we had things like that to happen?
well, I haven't had anybody coming in complaining yet this grass mowing season, just, but from my previous, yes, we'll give them, we work with them, even with property maintenance. Oh, I can't, I'm gonna do this, but I don't have the money to do it. Okay, we'll give you an extension, 60 more days, let us know what's going on. So, we do that. I do that,
They don't, you do.
But aren't you the first line of defense for that department? Because I know you work down there as the.
Yeah, when they come, most of the time, yeah, they're talking to me, yeah.
The key is they have to contact us.
Yeah, they have to.
And say, here's my problem. Because again, the whole reason we rebranded that department from inspections and code enforcement to code compliance. We want compliance. We don't want action taken. We just, if there's a problem, if it's posted and you can't cut it, call us. Because again, if you have a plan with us, that's the key, and they'll follow the plan. You just have to follow along. You have to follow the agreement you make.
Could you give the number out again? Do you have any of those little green things that the chief had so that everyone can have one of those little placards? I know for the police department that they were going to put on people's doors to be able to contact, but something that has that number so that people could, a door hanger or something that people can reach that line directly, so that if there are any issues, so we can help with compliance.
Okay. We could see, because the door hangers we have are for illegal dumping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but door hangers just
Yeah.
for code compliance, because every summer we have this issue, but if we can give citizens something in their hands where they can say, this is the number, this is who I contact, Ms. Osler is the first line of defense, this is the email, just in case I can't get somebody, could you forward something for that? Thank you, go ahead, Commissioner Henry. And we need to move on, because we have 2 more items on our agenda that we need to cover. This will be the last question, the last comment on this particular item, so we can move to the next one. Go ahead.
I know that when I was the chair of personnel and finance, there was a lot of problems. And what Clark is talking about came out of it. And it did solve a lot of the problems. But any time that you can get the Benton Harbor citizens involved in the process, you need to do it. No matter what staff says, you need to find a way to get Benton Harbor people into the process. I personally went through it. And I know that I had to wait almost 3 years to get a refund for something that they couldn't prove that they did. But like I said, some of that problems have been eliminated, but to not support to creating another process for the citizens to get involved is wrong. Because just like Mr. Duncan said, a tag was put, and what does the lawn care people want? A check. So when they get that, they're standing in line waiting to cut that grass. No matter if it rained 3 days in a row like it's been for the last week, somebody ought to know that the grass is wet, the ground is wet, and they're constantly sticking out these signs and knowing that it's raining every night. It's going to rain again tonight.
When you get the sign, and then that's when you call us. Look, I got a violation notice, and it's been raining. So can you give me a few days to get my grass cut?
That would be good, put it on the website, but I don't want us to not keep looking into creating a board for the citizens to be involved.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We find that we're more compassionate about our own people
Personal and
Than anybody.
than anybody, so I don't want it to go away. I would like for us to keep entertaining this problem.
Just for the sake of time, Madam Chair, I would ask that it also be moved to the Public Safety Committee for further research.
I agree. Let's move this item to the public safety.
Okay.
And I would like to ask if the policy, any policy that's in force now is told to us, so we can look and see if what we.
Mr. Clark, could you email the document that was sent to the committee?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who wants it?
The
Just send it to all the
commission,
commissioners, the whole
I
commission.
don't know,
Thank
but
you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
that
You
was the
gave her a
last-
directive, to do something about door hangers or something. Is there a cost that's incurred?
I'm sure that there is, but
Is
there
that
usually,
something that needs to go through personnel and finance?
it will,
Okay,
it will.
okay.
That'll need to
Just
be
making
added,
sure.
that'll need to
Just
be
making
added,
sure.
and it's usually a small, fee for that, but I think that's one of those things.
But there's a way it
that's
should be
worth it.
done though,
Yeah,
to just those that.
But I
have
was giving her,
properties that-
yeah, thank you, Commissioner Adams, but I was giving her a directive to add that to one of those, so she knows. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the Fresh Start resolution, and I have, Eleanor Gavin here to talk about that, resolution. That'll be going before us, yes. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for having me, and thank you for taking the time out to look at this issue. It is a very serious issue. As everybody knows, our school has been under threat of shutdown. And just to give you a little history, we have what's called a Peace for Life Youth Ambassador organization, and today the students were speaking at Brotherhood on behalf of themselves before the governor, and this I kind of got late notice on this, and so of course they get to choose where they want to go to advocate for themselves. But it is a student organization, leadership organization, in which they are taught to advocate for themselves. They are taught to improve the school in which they are learning. And so very proud of them. They met before the school board, and they asked the school board to, one, support their petition, and they also asked the school board to pass a resolution, a Fresh Start resolution, urging Governor Whitmer to eliminate the debt and to give them a fresh start. There was about $4 billion that was taken from K-12 funding, and this Fresh Start resolution is asking the governor to look into that and to take about 30% of that and give it to those schools, those disenfranchised schools. Kind of like a reparations. It doesn't specifically say that, but that's what it is, so that those schools can rebuild. And so we were asking this body to do something as a show of solidarity, a written form of solidarity, to mimic that resolution in some way, so that we can let everyone know that we are united on this issue. I think that those who want to shut down the school, they are thriving in the thought that we are divided, and the more written testimonies or anything like that will help them to see that Detroit is with us, this organization is with us, our city is with us. I think that's what will give us the strength that we need right now to let her know that we're not letting our schools go. Giving a fresh start. You haven't seen anything yet.
Thank you, Mrs. Gavin. Does anybody have, on the commission?
Yes, I was there at the town hall at the high school last night, and high schools did a great job, fantastic job going through the whole resolution, right?
Thank
They
you,
did a
yes.
great job outlining what it's all about and, every detail. I think it's a good thing to have in place.
I appreciate
So
that.
we can support them.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I think Ms. Gabbins is asking the legislative body to put something forth for the body to actually vote on in the name of the city of Benton Harbor. And I too would like to add that a separate one be done for my brother's keeper. Our Benton Harbor, Michigan, my brother's keeper, be in full support of it as well in resolution form. I don't know if Ms. Gaddens has forwarded that to you all, but I have a copy and I'd be more than happy to.
I have a copy of it. I've been
Okay.
speaking back and forth with Ms. Gavin about this.
Okay,
That
okay,
should've been on our
okay,
agenda.
good deal, good deal.
It
Thank
should've
you.
been on our
Good deal,
agenda.
good deal.
So,
But just leaving the forum that's happening over at the church, you have some brilliant students. You really do. You have some brilliant young people, young leaders, and they spoke very effectively to their governor and very, just impressed. And it was getting ready to wind up. But I think that the main thing that needed to be mentioned was this $4 billion. Somebody should have been knowledgeable of that, because in the beginning when the conversation started, somebody right out of the gate, and I think it may have been Bishop Atterbury, that, you know, some people want to forget the past. Well, the Jews haven't forgot what happened to them. And we're not going to figure what happened to us. We're still trying to find out facts.
Right.
And as we put them together, just like our community, it's important for us to know where we have come from in order to know where we're going.
Right.
Other than that, it's like a blind person leading another blind person, or a fool leading an even foolisher person. But to just know where we come from, and I made a point of that, and I was really disappointed because we had one of our star players at the school last night, and as I sat and talked with him, he said she's not going to be here because he had said on social media that he would really like a meeting with Governor Whitmer and the lieutenant. And I made that very plain to them both while they sat there after talking to him last night. And I said, I think they're going to be here today, and it would be wonderful if you could come back. I don't know what the schedule is, but in the wake of them constantly saying something about this money, I think that they needed to finally hear that this young man wants to sit and talk with you, and asking and pleading with them to please not make a decision until you talk to him. And if he calls, please answer the phone. Oh, we don't know. But don't make it, if it's all about the money, because we don't know who we're bringing with him. And they may have some problems solved. You know, I don't know, I ain't got a dime. Well, I may have a dime.
thank you.
But I wish that we could actually do this, and
With this is just a resolution. We've approved
Yeah.
a resolution for a lot of things.
well, I'm
We have to
asking on
change.
behalf of
We
MBK.
don't, you would have to create a separate resolution. This
There is
on behalf
one,
of-
okay.
yeah. But this is for, the city of Benton Harbor to support the resolution. We don't have to change anything. It's the resolution
Right,
in its entirety.
right,
So it'll be
right.
moved to the bigger, to the bigger
Okay.
committee. The mayor is doing, something in advance saying that the city supports it, but we wanted it to go through committee so that it went through the proper, process before
Okay.
that happened.
Okay.
So.
It would've been nice
So
if they had said that publicly, too.
we move to support this, resolution and to move it forward, so it'll go on our Monday, commission, meeting agenda. And so it'll just say that we support, this, resolution in its entirety. We will not change it.
I want to thank you so much for, sensing the urgency of this matter and making sure that everyone has the information they need so we can move forward. And so I just believe the best is yet to come. I have no choice but to believe that. And so I thank you for your time.
I think, Mr. Duncan, do you have a question?
Just a question. You were talking about the commissioners signing for this to happen for somebody else? Do you have a sign-up sheet for citizens?
I'm
Because
glad.
I'd like to sign that.
Well, actually, it should
I'm
say
glad
that,
you
should state
Said that, do you,
citizens.
or I can,
I can hear
talk,
3 people at the same time.
Oh,
I can
after
talk
that,
to
yeah,
you. I
yep.
can talk to you one-on-one and.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be good. I just want to
Thank
ask
you.
the question.
Right.
I thank you for that.
So what she did and what I did, I went on and signed, there was an electronic copy for people
I'm
who
not
are.
computer literate.
No, for people who are, she'll have something for him to sign, but I went on electronically, because you could also donated money toward the cause, and I also, signed the petition electronically that was sent to us. So you could do both if you like, electronically. She has a way for citizens, regular citizens, go ahead.
I can mention that?
Yes,
Okay,
please do.
so if anybody who was on social media, we have a social media page to, sometimes, we believe the hero parading is not telling our full story. And so we have a social media page to share the positive side of what's going on with the district and sharing all of those other entities that are in support of us. And so if you look up Peace, the number 4, Life, BH, so that's PEACE, the number 4, LIFEBH. If you look that up in Facebook, we're gonna come up, it's gonna be a paw, kind of with a heart and a heartbeat going on. If you follow that, all of the breaking news that's going on with, whatever's going on with us that's positive, you'll see that. And we also have, links to those documents, how to help Benton Harbor, 7 things you can do right now. That's in there as well. And we also have a website for the petition, which is BH, like B as in like BH, Benton Harbor, BHWALLST.com. And we've had a lot of support for that. We have over 8,000 signatures right now. The donations don't go to Benton Harbor or anything like that. It goes to, promoting the petition itself. But we appreciate if you do. If you don't donate, that's fine. Your signature, is good as well, and your comments and sharing that out. So I really do appreciate your time. Follow us on Peace for Life BH, because that way you can stay connected to us and everything that's going on from our perspective, from the youth perspective, and from my perspective as well. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Anybody want to say any questions before? You have another question?
Madam Chair, you mentioned something about,
Tuesday, I'm sorry. And if anybody is going to be in town, we'll be having our Peace Walk. That's a tradition. I believe this is our 6th year having our Peace Walk. It's student and staff led through our Black History Committee at the high school. This is where Mrs. Marilyn Ross Golden is the leader of that. So I would say those are her students, that she works with. We're very proud of them. But if you can be there at 10:30, we've already gotten permission from Director McGinnis, and we got the band going. I just have to give him a Snickers and he'll do it. So we're just really excited. It doesn't matter if it's 10 of us there or 1,000 of us there. It's just showing that we've changed the way the last day of school goes at the high school. And I've heard that there may even be a staff versus student basketball game. I don't know if y'all know Prentice Magruder, but great players. So we're gonna have some fun and some food, and it just be us having a good time and continuing our tradition. Even though some may not respect it, we're gonna keep it moving, and so it would be really good to have you there. So June 11th, and we'll get some flyers out. They'll definitely be on that Peace for Life page. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gavin, for all your work. You have another question, Ms. Adams?
yes.
You have another question?
Madam Chair, you mentioned something about a meeting Monday.
At
Are
our
we having a
next,
special meeting?
at our next commission meeting, I think we're doing a special meeting, for this resolution. I think we have so many meetings next week.
Can we actually plan that right now with the clerk? Deputy
Well,
clerk?
yeah,
City Clerk Thompson.
She is working on it.
City Manager Watson, so they're working on that.
Okay.
She'll get something out to you.
Okay, good deal.
she's working on it, because we.
Okay, but there's some other items though that I might.
We have one last item on our agenda, which is, we need to get this item covered, and it's the leak policy, and I think this one will go under the other item that we talked about with the commission, if we do a utilities commission, the leak policy and all of that will be addressed, in that particular, item.
Is there a leak policy?
There isn't, and that's, if there's a review that people can appeal based, if they had a leak or something like that, is there a leak policy that you know about?
No, I don't believe so, but, Commissioner Singleton has some information.
The only, I had a leak, but it haven't got resolved yet, but the only thing that they have is you come in, get a form, and you just fill it out, and you take it back to K, and then I guess you determine whether, but I was doing some research on it myself with the other communities, and it's probably something that might end up going to the personnel finance, and then back to legislative, once we determine a good model to work from. But one of the ones where there's one community, they did like a 25% give back, where, say if you had a leak now, like Mr. Malley still here, probably, those water meters, we got all the water meters changed out so they could be read by, and one of the pitches, one of the pitches to get those was to be able to detect usage. They could tell that if you all of a sudden have a spike in, your usage and stuff, so then they could come out, leave a notice and say, hey, we noticed that your usage is up higher than it should be. But then once you get the bill, if you can't get any resolution, that was one of the reasons that actually have a leak policy in place, so you can follow the policy, whether you give it back 25% or whatever would work for us. But that's something to be determined, I think, through some more research and going through the numbers with the personnel finance committee and coming back. Yeah, we do need a policy.
Can you speak to us about if we have one? Do you have any thoughts about that? And anybody talk to you about a leak policy for the city? Because we need a leak policy. Not one where somebody's looking at it and saying.
I don't know if we have a leak policy. I do know that we need one, and I just want to caution you a little bit. This Benton Township, our metering system is good. It's just their metering system is phenomenally better. So we'd have to make sure that it fit around the ways we can do it. We do send, we do quite a bit of, as a matter of fact, I've been involved too many times, where we go out and we'll do a study. The computer we have will do a study. It just, you gotta think about how much time has passed. So, but we do have a policy. You might see a tag on the door. It'll be a high use tag. And that's because the meter reader noticed that the water use is much higher than it's been before. So he'll put a tag on the door, and hopefully someone will respond to the tag, come back and call or come and ask what's going on. Some of the leaks that we have are a little bit harder because, especially this last winter, we had several of them where the house, the pipes froze and burst, so the meter just kept spinning. But the weather was so terrible, we couldn't get in, we couldn't do this, we couldn't, and there was no one at that house. So those are unfortunate, but they happen quite a bit that very, very cold winter we had.
So if that happens to somebody, are they required to pay the full bill? Do you work with them? How does that work?
I don't know. I don't think we have a policy for that.
But I'm saying, for us as a city, we represent people. So if a citizen came to me and they said, this is what happened, I got it fixed, but this is what was going on, how do they address that? How do they get help?
Yeah, hopefully we would have documentation out of the meter, but the meter only has a certain number of days.
I hear what you're saying, but hopefully it's something that we can count on. We hopefully will do this. We need to address that. That's an issue.
I think that's your choice to move it to that committee.
Yeah.
is one of the things that it can do and probably do pretty well. Usually, you know, you get a leak policy, somebody's leaking in their basement, they're calling for us to come turn it off. So hopefully they keep on doing that. But if they cannot turn it off inside their house, then unless they call us, it's gonna keep on leaking. And that's what I meant by all these vacant homes where the water just keeps running because there's no one in there to turn it off. And if we don't get to the valve or the weather is keeping us from any kind of that, it's gonna leak a while.
Anybody on the board have any questions or comments that they need to make about this item?
Oops.
I just want to give you one case that I do know about that was, you know, if something like that was in place, it probably could have saved something. It was a case where actually it was my sister. She lived in California, but she had a house here. It was empty, and we had one of those cold winters like you're talking about, and the pipe bust, but it bust on the side where it was still coming through the meter, and so the meter was steady clocking up, and then eventually the meter froze and bust too. But in the meantime, when they was able to read the meter, it was like over $4,000, and so she did, you know, try to get some type of relief. She tried to file, you know, some type of leak policy. This would happen, but nothing never got resolved. You got to put on her taxes, and she had a mortgage on the house, and the taxes are escrow. So the mortgage company paid the taxes, and she went and told them, said, wait a minute, I didn't tell you to pay that bill because I'm in dispute with that, but they paid it anyway, and they said not too bad. So what she ended up doing is basically telling the mortgage company, well, you just bought a house, and she walked away from it. You know? So, but that's just, you know, really sad for something like that to happen, you know, over some water.
So with this, I'd like to move that we, move this, that we need to have a leak policy, created. We need to have one. And in the next, 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
A leak policy.
Okay.
What is the board? I was going for it.
I agree.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? If not, this meeting is adjourned.